So, hey guys, welcome to a new episode, my second in person episode, and the eighth episode of Brew Talks. And today in the episode, I have a very special guest who's a writer, technically. And yeah, she's been doing many things. So, Rashmi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Anand.
It's been a while since the book got published, but
Yes.
I came across it recently. So I
Yep.
thought, immediately had this idea of maybe reaching out to you
Yeah.
for, I wouldn't call it an interview, but maybe a conversation.
Yeah.
Since I was like starting my own in-person podcast, and then you were only like, "Fine, we can talk about it." I was like, "Oh, cool, awesome." So yeah, so we're going to talk about this book that she's written, One Galaxy Old, and then what got Rashmi into writing and what else she does, because she does quite a few things, and what motivated her or what motivates her to do all these things. So firstly, thank you for being on the show,
Thank you so much for
and
having
it's
me.
an honor to have you on the show. And how are things going?
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. It's been going fantastic. Couldn't have been better. So yeah, it's been going good. It's been going good.
So yeah, so it's like you work in sales, and then you write books,
Yeah.
and then you click pictures also, because I can see that in the
Yeah.
book. So how did like all of this come into place? Like the whole writing, and then getting into sales after finishing your engineering, and sticking to this and sales and acing and everything basically. So how did all that happen? Like from the beginning, the origin story.
The origin, going right where it starts,
Yeah,
where it
the
begins.
origin story of Miss Rashmi Raghunath. What is it?
So for me, writing started at a very young age. I stumbled upon, some of my dad's poetry. My dad also, used to write
Oh, it's
during
in the
his
genes.
formative. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
During his formative years, he also used to write a lot. So I stumbled upon a few poems, and hopefully they were about my mother. So I was very fascinated by his writing and by poetry itself, and it intrigued me enough to start to give it a shot. And that's when I started writing. I think I was
So
about,
this was when you were young?
yes, I think about 11, 12 years old. I
Okay.
started. I was in 7th standard, 6th, 7th standard, and I started writing poetry. And that was also the time when the then headmistress, she was also an English teacher.
Oh.
So what I would do is I would actually write, and then I would go and show them to her, and then ask her, hey, what you think, blah blah blah, and then she would give me feedback, and sometimes she would appreciate the poems that I had written. I mean, I started writing poetry with rhythm and rhyme. That's how you're even taught. You're introduced
Yeah, the
to
basic
poetry.
catalog or
Yeah.
a structure of a poem
Exactly.
is like,
So like I did it with a lot of technicalities and structure and all of that. And through the years, my style has definitely changed. Now it's more free flowing. It's free verse. Over the years, I was influenced by different poets that I have read. Sylvia Plath is someone that I really admire. I really love her work. I've read a lot of Charles Bukowski as well. I've read Pablo Neruda as well, and of course some of the other ancient
yeah, the classic, writers.
ancient writers
Yeah.
as well. So they definitely had a lot of influence in the way that I write over the years, and now it's more free flowing. And confessional poetry was something, again, I was influenced especially by Sylvia Plath.
yeah.
And a lot of my poems, you've read it, so it's in a way a little confessional.
Yeah.
So that is how my writing has evolved over a period of time, and I'm absolutely passionate about it, because for me writing is very therapeutic.
Yeah.
It liberates me. I feel so creatively liberated when I write poetry, or when I just get a chance to write, even journal for that matter, right? It's a very therapeutic experience. And poetry is surreal for me. So that is writing, and while all of this was happening, I also stumbled upon sales. So sales for me is again a very creative way of doing a job, because you're essentially solving problems as a salesperson as well, right? Yes, of course it involves convincing, it involves negotiation, it involves
a lot of
closing.
communication.
There's a
and
lot
blah,
of
blah, blah.
there's a lot of glamour attached to sales, but
Yeah.
it also requires a lot of discipline. It requires a lot of resilience, and patience, and these are also the qualities that you would need if you are pursuing art in some way, and you
It's the
would
same,
know
yeah,
that
exactly.
it's the same thing. You need patience, you need
that
resilience.
the convincing skills.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like
So
we
somewhere
need to
I've
do that.
seen both of these intertwine, and they make me who I am today. I am very passionate about sales, and I am very passionate about writing as well, and I feel like they both go hand in hand for me. It's only when I go kill it at my numbers and do really, really well, I'm motivated to come back, travel, be inspired, and write. So
Numbers
So
in
it's-
sales, both professionally and the sale of her books, basically. So numbers matter.
yeah.
So,
So like for me, both of them go hand in hand. They're very, very special to me, and I devote a lot of my time to both of them.
Yeah.
So I become very cranky if I'm not able to do one of them enough. It really bothers me. So I try to find that balance. Initially, I found it very hard. Now I think I know. I think
how
I've
to balance
striked
it,
the
Keith.
balance.
Yeah.
Like
you found the
now I
perfect
think-
chord for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, like, when you're speaking of balance, right? So, for an artist or a writer or anyone who's into art, getting that perfect balance is usually, as you said initially, you found it like super tough. So, how did you like crack the code? Because from what you say and from what we've spoken before, say, like your sales ka job is also like super hectic, and then so you're like tired throughout the day,
mentally.
right? Yeah, you're mentally like
Yeah.
strained,
Yeah.
exhausted and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you're like writing something, when you're like putting something onto paper or whatever, usually it's like you need to be thoda relaxed and let go of that pressure. I mean, this is like another pressure that's gonna come to you while writing.
Yeah.
So how has that balance been, and how is it like working out right now?
So initially, of course, I would be very frustrated if I'm unable to spend time writing, because of course writing takes its own space, right? Like I think you need to spend a lot of time doing nothing.
Yeah.
Also, okay, to just sink into
That's like
that
the whole
mind space,
yeah.
right? So and that's when I read this book and I did this coursework. It's by Julia Cameron, and I was talking to you about this yesterday when we met for lunch. She basically talks about how there is so much of stereotype attached to artists. Right? They expect you to be promiscuous, they expect you to be drunk, they expect you to be there's this certain kind of a character people associate
an artist
too, right? But that's not true. Writing or acting or directing or anything for that matter.
We are not drunk while shooting this also.
Exactly.
So.
We're so sober. So, you require discipline, right? And it's as much as I want to write, sometimes I'm unable to give that time. And before I would be very frustrated with it. But now I am very kind to myself, because I know that, hey, 5 days in a week, I'm trying to pull off something that is super hard, and it is mentally, physically, emotionally straining. It's exhausting. It's you run out of social battery very fast. And then what I do now is I make little sacrifices. Like for example, over the weekends, I don't always hop onto every plan that my friends make, or you're trying to meet socially, or you're doing all of that. I try to take a step back there and see, and if I really want to step out, right? Because those 48 hours for me is is very, very important.
Very important, yeah.
So those 48 hours, maybe 10 to 12 hours of those, I will just literally spend doing nothing. Even an activity of just cleaning your house, making
Yeah.
your bed, and just
It's like
waking
your
up on
own
time.
personal time
Yeah.
that's there.
Yeah,
over there.
and you know, I read this quote very recently where you know, the wife of an artist, she says that, you know, when my husband looks out of the window, he's still working.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
It's like whatever it's like he's hunting
Yeah.
for an idea. Like
Yeah.
you don't know what inspires
exactly.
you
It's
at
not
any
that he's
point of
not
time.
doing anything. He's actually still working
Yeah.
while he's looking at. So even those activities that you do over the weekend, which is very, very humbling, that is also the time where you're creatively thinking. And then, of course, when you're done with it, you come back and you open a page,
Yeah.
and you just, you know, it just flows in. So for me, that is, you know, like, it's very precious. So I do make those little sacrifices.
Yeah.
So yeah, as Swami Vivekananda said, you need to make sacrifices to achieve great
To
things.
achieve great things, yeah.
My dad hung this up
Yeah.
literally in our you know, like when
No,
we
because
used to
even
study.
like
Yeah.
you know, my mom says this key. You know, if you want to do something,
Yeah.
sacrifice something right now,
Yeah.
so that tomorrow will be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you want this to
okay.
happen. Like
Yeah.
there are some sacrifices and compromises
Yeah.
that you should
Yeah.
be like making. But okay, let's come to the book.
Yep.
Like right. So when did you? So firstly, when I read this book, as you said, I was reading and. So it was not like the traditional poetry.
Yeah.
The verses were not like the whole how a poem should be,
Yeah.
with the whole rhyming and
Yeah,
blah blah
rhythm
blah,
and-
right?
yeah, yeah.
So it was like you expressing yourself, and it's that, right? So and also what was really interesting was every poem. So on the right side of the page there's a poem, and on the left side it's like a picture,
Yeah.
right, for all the poems. So how did that come out? Like, because you're saying, okay, poetry was there since childhood, but the idea of, you know, mixing a picture and the poem together, how did you get that idea? I'm pretty sure that's the USP of the book also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so how did that come about?
Yeah. So photography is again something that just happened. Like, so when I was pursuing my engineering, I was surrounded by some really, really good photographers, like, and they're all my friends, and they're all around the world right now, all over the
Nice.
world. So, yeah.
Nice.
So, but again, like, these were hobbies that, you know, all of us had picked up, and you know, again, photography is something that I saw around me. Like, these kids had their DSLRs, and they would click like really, really beautiful pictures, and then I would be like, oh my god, like, even I want to do this.
Yeah.
So at that time I had a OnePlus.
Okay.
And so then I was like, okay, OnePlus also has like really good camera.
yeah.
So then I was like, okay, let me go around clicking, right? So for me, more than clicking pictures, I think I enjoyed the process of editing.
Okay.
Like, I truly enjoyed it. So I you know, learned. Initially, I started with like Snapseed and like Pixar, like, you know,
and
these
stuff,
very,
the very
basic
mobile apps where you can be like, the Instagrammable editing apps,
Yeah, and then I started learning Photoshop, Lightroom, and like, you know, and when I started spending some time like editing pictures on these applications, I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then I started composing pictures. If you've seen a few pictures in the book, they're actually, you know, they're
the frame is
composed.
like very much composed. It's like you're following the rule of the thirds completely.
Exactly.
And subject idhar hona chahiye and all that. And,
Yeah. And I've also superimposed a lot of pictures, one on top of the other, and like, and that also has two different themes going on, and then that sort of opens up a window to the soul of the writing, right? So that is how, you know. But that's much later. But I was again like introduced to photography because of the people around me, and that's when I started clicking pictures. And then I'd also already written stuff. So then suddenly, I don't know, man, like the idea just came on to me. Like one day I was just sitting, I was like browsing through my archives, and then I used to also post my poetry on Instagram. And then I think it just came to me, like I just saw my Instagram and then I saw poetry, then I saw pictures in the
Pictures
next
with that.
grid, and I'm like, wait a minute,
Great,
right?
great. One book, one page
And
ho
I'm like,
jayega.
wait a
Simple.
minute, and then what I did was then I started composing pictures, like which would go with the poem.
Yeah.
Right? So when I would write, I would be like, okay, now let me try and compose a picture. Now let me, for example, like there for one poetry, I wanted to capture something completely destroyed. Okay, like I wanted to capture something which looks, beaten up, destroyed, complete. There's no hope, right? And then I looked for something like that in the streets of Bangalore. Okay, I had a whole journey,
Yeah.
like I did that, and that's what makes it so much more satisfying and all of that. So I looked for it and then I found the perfect frame, right? And I found this completely destroyed, given up, hopeless building, right?
Wow.
Which is like everything just, it looks like someone just
It's like the
left,
building is in the ICU or something.
someone
It's
just
bad.
left,
Yeah.
man. They
It's
just
abandoned.
left. And you can see it so broken and trodden and withered, right? And that is, and I wanted that, and then of course I played with that picture, and that's also in the book.
Yeah.
So for me, like I went looking for it, and some of them I've composed where like there is one picture where this friend of mine was super kind to model for me, and I have this flower on his
Yeah.
on his shoulder, and he's looking away, right? So a lot of composition went into it. So yeah, then it was a very satisfying creative journey.
And then it's
Yeah.
like even when you, it's like when you click the picture, and then after like so much of thought or
Yeah.
planning that goes behind clicking a picture or something, when you see it, like the perfect picture, that when
Yeah.
you see it, the satisfaction that
Oh
you,
yeah. Oh
damn,
yeah.
yes, this is what I
It's
wanted.
equal to closing a sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, so equal to closing a sale.
It's equal
yeah.
to wrapping up a YouTube video. So, I like.
Yeah.
So yeah, so basically, it's like you had the poems written
Yep.
first, and then you had an idea for the picture,
Pictures,
like what
yes.
was there. So it was you being an assistant director, where it's like you
Yep.
go location hunting and be
Yep.
like this is where. But how confident were you that you're gonna get pictures for all the poems?
So the most beautiful thing about One Galaxy Old is that it's an ever evolving book. Okay, so this is
Yeah, this is the latest edition.
this
guys,
is the
by
latest
way.
edition. So the first edition did not have a lot of pictures. So in
Okay.
the second one, I've added more, and there are few more poems which still don't have pictures along with them because I still haven't found it. So this book is always going to continue to evolve.
It's like an iOS update. It's
Yes,
just gonna be coming
I'm
out.
gonna keep releasing
Yeah.
versions, right? So whenever, and I'm very truthful and honest to the work that I do, because I'm sure you can relate to that, because that's when you feel very satisfied with
Yeah.
the job that you do, right? So for me, this is how much I have found. For like this is how much I could create as pictures to the poems that I have written, and for the others I still haven't found it, and when I find it I will continue to
New update.
yes,
New
I will
version.
continue to
Put it out
put
there.
it out, and
Yeah.
but the cover is a picture that I have clicked.
Yeah.
So this is so the previous
And that's
one
also
did
a
not
new,
have it.
yeah, that's also
Yeah, so I
a
changed
new
the-
update. So
changed the
yeah,
cover, yeah.
And okay, this is like a cliche question.
Yeah.
So, what? Give us some behind the scenes of what went behind the idea of writing this, because things are so deep inside that book. I was like reading. So basically, it's a really nice, quick read. Okay.
Yeah.
But then I was like reading. I had to like. So I was like, okay, la. Wait, what? So it
Yeah.
was like that deep, right? So, what was the thought behind creating something like that?
So okay. First of all, to talk about One Galaxy Old and what it is about, it essentially captures the journey of love. Okay, what one galaxy old means is that it's a colorful way of emphasizing like a vast, definition of time. Okay, which is beyond human comprehension, basically.
And there's a poem
Right?
also called One Galaxy
Yes,
Old
it's
in
called
that.
One Galaxy
Yeah.
Old, and you will know why I've sort of named
Yeah.
it One Galaxy Old if you go through that poem. So, so this basically captures the journey of love, and the journey of love as we all know it. I think if you watched Dil Se, right? There is a song called Satrangi Re, right?
Yeah.
In that, they actually capture the 7 stages of love.
Love, yeah.
Right? Which is, it starts with attraction, then there's infatuation, then there's love, there's trust, there's worship, there's obsession, and then there's the ultimate salvation, which is death.
Death.
Right? So these are the 7 stages of love. So the journey in the book is basically that, so I think I'll probably have to, talk about One Galaxy Old, the poem. I think that is
because
the context.
because I had a
Yeah.
question key, before reading the book, and a
Yeah.
question key, what made you, name the book One Galaxy Old,
Yeah.
and then and the poem comes in the initial stages,
initial
of the book
yes,
only.
yes.
I was like, Acha, okay, so people should read about it. Only then they'll get to know. I can't just ask that question. Wo to
Yeah.
spoiler hoga. But now you're only saying that you'll tell. So I was like,
Yeah,
cool, why not?
I think I'll probably give some context.
Yeah.
So it's basically, given I told you what One Galaxy Old figuratively means, what my theory is that and this is whenever I speak in forums, and I've always asked this, right, like to people, how many of you feel like you've when you meet somebody, you just feel like you've known them forever?
Forever, yeah.
Right, and and literally, Anand, every single time I've had so many people just raise their hands and tell me that yes, I have gone through that feeling. I have had that moment.
Yeah.
Right, and I've had that moment as well.
Same.
We've all had that moment, right? So my theory is that our hearts are one galaxy old. They've been revolving around each other for billions and billions of years to find that one single moment in eternity where they cross each other.
Yeah.
Right, and that is the moment where you just look at someone and you feel like, oh my God, I've known this person forever. And that is also the exact moment where the journey of love begins.
Yeah.
Right, then you start with your attraction, infatuation,
The whole 7 stages.
the
and
whole 7 stages.
everything, the honeymoon
begins.
period, everything just happens. Because I tend to call that like, the
Yeah.
honeymoon period. It's like everything's like perfect.
Everything is perfect.
It's like you're in the clouds, cloud 999, you're there, and
Yeah.
then
and then the destruction happens.
happens. And
Yeah.
people
So-
start writing, people
Yeah.
start making content, people turn into artists. So yeah.
Yeah, so that is how the journey of love basically is what the book captures. And now your question was basically around, how did I start and what was, what
Let's say
sort
the
of
inspiration or the backstory
right?
for
Yeah. So with that, what basically happened was that, again, like I think in life, I came across existentialism as a philosophy much later, and I know that you also told me that you very recently read Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. So I stumbled upon it at a much later stage in my life, but when I did read it, I realized that this is a kind of thought process or the school of thought I had from the beginning of time. I've lived the philosophy, and then I stumbled upon it and got a name for it.
Yeah.
And what that philosophy actually tells us is that we have the freedom to choose our partners, okay, and to choose the kind of relationships we want to have,
yeah.
right? But we also need to bear the responsibility of the complexities and the everything that
The
is
responsibilities, and it's like
everything
you're
that it
signing up for
entails.
that.
Yeah.
You yourself signed up
Everything-
for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything that it entails, the consequences of your choices, of how that relationship is going to be, right? Because you have yourself chosen that,
Yeah.
right? And it also asks you to confront a lot of ambiguity and absurdity that comes with relationships. right? Because at a lot of times you see them, you feel like, okay, you know what, this is love is very fulfilling, but at the same time, sometimes you might just be like, this is so frustrating,
Yeah.
right? And then you find yourself finding so much of meaning in love, and then suddenly you turn around
It's
and
like
you're
the two
it's
sides of a
meaningless.
coin, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
so actually this philosophy like it demands you to confront these paradoxes, right, and not seek easy answers. It's a journey. Like in your entire life, you'll probably like, you know, towards the end you'll probably maybe just find the answer to it, right? So
I mean,
for
because
me,
like in anything, it's like life is like finding. That's why
Yeah.
it's like you're ever always discovering yourself, finding yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like the same in love. Like you know,
Yeah.
it's like you never. So the point is, it wouldn't be interesting if you had the chance
Yeah.
to know a person completely.
That's
So
true.
it's
There's
like you need
always
to.
some mystery
Yeah.
that is needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming back to the point, like it's for me, this journey has always been there, and that has this is me understanding love. This book is essentially me understanding love. I'm 27 years old, and by the age of 27, people tend to usually experience a lot of things in today's generation.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So you know, this is my journey, and the reason why I told you so much about the philosophy is because you will see that philosophy actually surface in a lot of the poems that I have
Poems, yeah.
written, because. It talks about freedom. It talks about the absurdity. It has, you know, it has the whole confusion, the ambiguity of relationships, all of that, right? And it also has the warmth that it
Yeah.
offers, then the trust, the beauty of it, right? Even it
The good
captures
side, the
good-
bright side, and the
yeah,
dark side.
and the
So-
dark side, yeah. So and obsession, like we can't take that out.
Yeah.
So even that, right? So all of that. So yeah. So somewhere this book has been a journey, and understand. Sometimes when you're trying to figure out these things in your head, I feel that itself becomes very inspirational. You know, like
Yeah.
because you're having these thoughts and you're like, oh my god, that's such an interesting.
That's such an
thought.
idea. It's like, wow, this can be. Wait, did I come up with that? It's not चाहिए.
Yeah,
So,
like you
so
know, and
like-
then you suddenly feel very wise, and you know.
It's like you attain monkhood all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're
Enlightenment aa jayega. So
Yeah, suddenly you open your mouth and you have only wisdom teeth.
yeah, full of wisdom.
Full of wisdom. Yeah.
So yeah, but and then so firstly, this is a book consisting of poems where when you wanted to like express, this is basically you in a way expressing yourself.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know that you know you've been associated with poetry since your childhood, but why poetry and not maybe like you know dialogues or a novel or something? What made you choose poetry as your means of communication with the readers?
Yeah, so I think poetry for me comes a lot more easily. Sometimes, you know, when I used to work in Bangalore, I used to be always stuck in traffic. And then,
Yeah.
and then I would have all these heavy thoughts in my mind, very dense thoughts in my mind, and I would just put them in my notes app, or I would like type it out somewhere, or I would just write it down, right? So for me, poetry comes a lot more easily. But that said, like for me, the ideas of writing a story, like a novel, that's been there, like, I don't know, like since school.
Okay, so before I take too much of your time because you're a busy person, and yeah, so I thought we'll end it with a small rapid fire round.
Okay.
So it should be rapid. Okay. Well, brace yourself if you want some time.
Okay.
Time for a commercial break. But no, break. Brace yourself. No, I'll keep it simple. Okay. So your go-to. So I'll give you like a question and like you know give me like 3 answers for that. Okay.
Okay.
So it's like it goes like, let's say I'll ask you your go-to 3 places or blah blah blah. So give me 3 answers, right? So first would be your go-to 3 authors.
Okay. Sylvia, Pablo Neruda, and
Rapid.
Francis Thompson.
Your go-to 3 books of all time.
Crime and Punishment. Oh my god.
Super tough. It's like asking a movie buff ki, what's your favorite film of all time? I'll be like, there are many.
The
Bro.
God of Small Things and Madam Bari.
Your top 3 films of all time.
Oh no. Kal Ho Na Ho. Uh, oh my God,
Rapid.
This is so hard. Like movies, Seven. And the. Oh my God. I can't.
It's like you're recollecting
It's
all
too
the
much.
films. Like
Yeah,
so many
like, I'm
films are
trying
going
to-
into your head.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like. This is not
Fine,
right
write a
enough.
concession. I'll give you two movies you told, so it's fine.
Okay.
And since like you are a foodie, so what are your like go-to cuisines? Top 3 cuisines of yours?
I love Asian. I love Mexican. I love Italian.
What are your go-to desserts? 3 desserts.
Three desserts.
Because you told me that you're a dessert person.
Oh my
so
God, dude, no. Like I told.
Dessert person conditions apply. There's a limited
There's a limited
intake of
intake of
desserts. I
desserts,
take it, but
yeah.
still that still counts as a dessert person. Conditions
Oh my
apply.
God.
Read the documents carefully before investing.
Okay.
Wala this
I
thing.
like the Death by Chocolate in
Corner
Corner
House.
House from Corner House.
Bangalore in you
yes,
is just coming up.
Yes. I had a lot of tiramisu when I was in Italy, so I loved tiramisu. And I don't know, like I think I have like 2 answers for everything.
Yeah, I made it like 2, but no, here you're not getting a concession.
Okay.
You need to tell one more.
Oh God. I think like a good Sunday. Yeah.
The next 3 things on your bucket list.
The next 3 things on my bucket list is I want to learn how to swim.
Oh, you don't know how to swim?
I don't know how to swim. So if you want to kill me, you can drown me.
Also, like guys.
Yes. The second thing on my bucket list is that I want to skydive. Yeah.
And one more. One
My
more.
parents are not listening. The third one is I wanna.
I mean, they're going to see it anyway, so they'll get.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, I'm not editing this, okay? By the way, it's on camera, it's on record. And the third one.
The third thing on my bucket list would be to. I don't know, man. I feel like I do most things that I want to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
you've
like,
done it
I-
already.
I'm not
क्या है
like-
bucket list? I've done everything over there. What bucket? No list, nothing. कर दिया मैंने सब कुछ.
Like I don't know, like I don't have those kind of like holy shit, I want to do that. Like I want to do, like for me, like I wanted to do a concert, and I did like Coldplay this year, and that was my first concert.
That was your
in
first
life,
concert?
in life, and it was Coldplay.
Coldplay,
Yeah,
damn.
so like,
Yeah.
I've done these very grand.
That's something I was supposed to be
first-time
there, but I
things.
missed out. But bloody, I don't want to take that visa company name, but you know, you guys know. Top 3 favorite countries, like whatever, like you know, if you want to visit or if you visited, like what are your top 3 countries?
I've visited Italy, so I want to definitely do Italy again. I want to go back to Rome, and I want to live in Rome. I've read enough Jhumpa Lahiri to like feel कि मुझे अभी Italian बन जाना है.
romanticize, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to do that. I want to definitely go back to Paris, and the other country that I want to definitely visit is, I don't know, Sri Lanka maybe, because it's so close by.
It's
and
close by,
and
yeah.
it's just so
2
much
hours,
of-
आराम से जाके आ
it's just
सकते
so
हैं.
much of history between the countries, politically and historically. Yeah, so.
So, if not for a poet, I don't want to call you a writer, no, poet. So, if not for a poet, what's another artistic thing that you explored or you want to explore?
I have explored charcoal art.
Charcoal art, yeah.
Yeah, I have done that, and this year I had my first gallery showing, which was a lot of fun. That's definitely something I want to do, and another art that I want to definitely pursue, which I was telling you about, is I want to like start exploring maybe Kathak, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a beautiful, elegant way of
Expressing yourself.
expressing yourself. I think that's just so beautiful, and yeah, I think that is definitely one thing. In theatre is something that has always intrigued me. Writing plays and also maybe acting in them. Yeah, like,
Yeah, so after that, yeah, I'm going to reach out to her for like, madam, script hai, madam, dekho, badlo and stuff. But yeah, so I don't want to give you more rapid fire and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you for
Yeah.
giving me your time and being the guest on my show.
Thank you so
And
much.
talking about your book, your life, and your upcoming book. A small teaser was given. Ki she's coming up with a new book. So I know the title, but I'm not going to reveal it. Let's surprise. So, so yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Rashmi, for being on the podcast, and good luck with your new book and the other books that are going to come out. And guys, do check out and do read One Galaxy Old, available on Amazon. Link will be in the description, and yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll have a really good time reading it, or you'll just revisit some really nice memories of your life. So yeah, thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you so
And
much for having me.
yes.